you got a Bible or you want to write or turn to something, you turn to Romans 12, and that way you at least have someplace to turn. I'm a little bit mad, and so I'm just going to let her fly. Is that all right? Because I don't like to lose. And I'm going to share my heart with you just a little bit, but as I talk about my experience, I don't mean to talk about me too much, but we can all relate, because all our experiences are alike. And we're all in. Elvis said, we believe in victory. But in order to have victory, you're going to have a battle. Just because you started coming to church in a barn, they believe in the power of God and all that, don't mean you ain't going to get everything's all rosy and then never have another rough day. Don't mean that. Fact is, it might get worse for a while. Because now you've become an enemy of the enemy. And the more valuable you are, the more resources he's going to use to try to get to you. Keep you down, keep you finding out from who you are, keep you stepping into the things that God has for you. Hey, if you weren't very valuable, he wouldn't mess with you. Hey, I've been identified. Everybody in here say, I've been identified. We're a threat to the enemy. You bet we are. And so I thought about, when I was religious, or when you go through a defeat or something, or when you lose, I thought about Michael Jordan. Probably the greatest basketball player to ever live. You know he was cut from his high school ball team? He was cut from his high school basketball team. Now I can see, he had two choices the way I see it. He could have either said, well, must not be God's will, I'm just going to play chess, or he could let that thing get down in him and create a hunger in him and a drive in him to say, I don't care what anybody says, I know what's down in me, and ain't nobody going to hold me down, I'm going for what I know is. And so he became the greatest there ever was. But if he would have believed the circumstances, or if he would have listened to what other people's opinion were of him, he would have still be unknown. You've never heard of him. He'd be selling used cars in the corner somewhere. And so that's the way I look at it. You know what? I might get a black eye now and then. When I was religious, I'd say, well, must be God's will for me to have a black eye. I ain't religious no more, so now I can either lay down and let the devil whoop on me and beat me up and say, oh, let the Lord come quickly. Or I can say, hey, it's going to create a hunger and a drive in me that says I'm not going to lay down. I'm not going to just keep on making excuses for myself and keep making excuses for God and the reason He didn't show up or whatever else, because we have an enemy. And you can say, I thought about that story Penrod shared with me about the mule. I've told him before, but I love it. He said about this mule, there was an old mule, and he was stumbling around the barnyard one day and he fell in a well. And there he was down there in that well, and the farmer comes by and he says, oh my, now how in the world am I going to get that mule out of that well? That well ain't no good, and the mule ain't no good. I think I'll just call the neighbors, and I've been needing a reason to fill the well in anyway. We're just going to bury the mule and be done with the mule and the well. And so the neighbors come over and they all got their shovels and they throw dirt down on that mule. And dirt pile on that old mule, and he just shake that dirt off. Step up. They pile more dirt down on him, throw that dirt, shovelfuls of dirt down on the old mule's back. He'd shake that dirt off and step up. About it for long, they kept on going. The mule stepped out on the hard ground and walked off. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, I'm going to tell you, get this thing, you're going to be a little bit mule-headed. One of the fruits of the Spirit's long-suffering. In my Cowboy translations, I believe that's hard-headed. You're going to have to be tough. You're going to have to be hard-headed. You're going to have to, hey, I might get a black eye. I might lose one once in a while, but that don't mean I'm going to quit believing what I believe. It don't mean I'm going to not keep on shaking the dirt off and keep stepping up and let that thing create something in me that's going to give me some drive. It's going to make me hunger harder. It's going to make me say, hey, I ain't giving up on it. I'm going to go. He's going to, you see, he might give me a black eye, but it's going to cost me. Because I found out who my daddy is. And he might get one over on me, but my daddy's daddy is justice. And whatever the thing is stolen from me, whatever's been robbed from me, whatever's been taken from me, he's going to pay back. And he's also going to make him pay damages and suffer damages. And I'm just going to go higher. And I'm going to go higher. So I can't help it if I lose one once in a while. But it don't mean I'm folding up shop. It means we're going to press on. And we're going to find out why it don't work every time. Because I still believe it works every time. I still believe this power in this gospel that we're believing. That it's about Jesus and His cross. And we're a majority in here now. You know, this thing works on expectation. You know that we've belittled the word hope. I might get to Romans 12, all right? We've belittled the word hope to wishing. Well, I hope this happens. Well, I'm wishing it to happen. Or maybe. But the word hope in the Bible is the expectation of it. That's bigger than wishing. If I'm hoping for something, I'm expecting it to come. That means it may not be here yet, but I'm looking down the road because the thing's on the way. I'm not wishing, well, maybe it might come, well, maybe it might not come. No, I'm expecting it to come. And when the majority has an expectation, it happens. That's why I preach this thing to the level that I do, because the majority's getting bigger. There's an atmosphere in here. I don't know what you believe, but if you don't believe in God wants people healed, if you believe in whatever, I don't know what everybody in here believes, but I know what the majority believes. And the majority believes, and they have an expectation that the power of God's in this place. And when the majority believes that, the expectation happens. The expectation's like a vacuum. It draws that thing. It's like you have expectation. It sucks whatever you're expecting to you. It's in the atmosphere. That's why Dukin right here, he's been dying telling. He's interrupting me all the time trying to get me to tell him. But he's just sitting in the atmosphere. You guys seen him. He was crumpled up and crippled in a motorcycle wreck, and he used to be 5'7", now he was 5 foot. Hey, just sitting in here, he's grown 4 inches. Amen. You don't have to believe it if you don't want to. But the majority does. Amen. And the expectation of the majority is going to rule. And so all I see to do now is we got to change the expectation. See, I know we got it in here, but we're going bigger. I know we got it in here, but we're going bigger. I'm tired of seeing God's children lose. I'm tired of seeing people that are supposed to be born again believers in this be so religious that they make excuses for God and don't live in what He died to give us. And say, well, it must be God's will. This Bible says that the thief comes to steal and to kill and to destroy. But God has come to give life. Now, if it's stealing and killing, it ain't for God. Hey, we got common sense, ain't we? Let's read the thing. Who are we blaming? Faith. I'm going to read this. Faith, Hebrews 11, there's another one you can write down. That's good. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. Not wishing, hoping. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. Faith is the substance of the things that I'm expecting to be on their way. That's faith. Not wishing, knowing. That thing's on its way. Faith of substance of things hoped for. The evidence of things not seen. That's what faith is. That means I may not have the concrete proof in front of me, but I know who it is that wrote it, and that He's for me, and He said it's on its way. I'm expecting it to show up. When, where, I don't know. I'm not that smart. He's God. I'm not responsible for the details. It's my responsibility to be hoping for it. It said Abraham was 199 years old, 100 something, had a kid. God said, Abraham, you're going to have a son. That's what God said. Abraham, you're going to have a son. Lord, I'm 99 years old. I ain't got no son yet. I'm dried up and I'm old and my woman's dried up and she's old. And you said I'm going to have a son. If Abraham was religious, he would have said, oh, it must not be God's will. He waited too late. The Bible says he hoped against hope. That means he said, faith as a child, it says, if my daddy said it, I'm going to believe it, and it must be on my way. Is He God or is He not God? Is He able or is He not able? Huh? the majority in here, but the majority's going to get bigger. We're going. Hey, we're affecting. You know, I'm just going to share this week because I don't know. I'm just sharing, all right? Because this is bigger than we think it is. And I know this is good. I love it. I can't wait. I love this. This is awesome. This is just good, ain't it? And so I'm glad that I can be a part of something where I can experience God and I don't have to. It's just like taking the blinders off and really experiencing Him and knowing that I have a relationship with Him. You know that I had more church this morning by myself than I had the first 15 years of being a Christian. Amen. It's about a relationship with Him, and I don't have to govern you. I don't have to control you. I'm just going to scoot you right up in close to Him and let you go. Amen. He can do it. He's able. He wants to. He's good. He's strong. He wants. You're His sons and you're His daughters. He wants to bless us. He wants us to. And so anyway, this is good. This is bigger than we think it is, and this is going to spread. This is already spreading. It's all over, going all over. Internet, CDs are going everywhere. Hey, y'all, they're all over the country, all over everywhere, because people are hungry for the truth. And so, here's what happened. It's so good, everybody wants to come. Everybody wants more. And that's not a bad thing. Everybody wants more. And so they'll say, hey, when are we going to start having church on Sunday? Hey, I hear it all the time. Hey, let's have church on Sunday. We need more. We want more. Let's start having church on Sunday. So, well, I'm not against church on Sunday, but I'm not going to have church on Sunday just because everybody else has church on Sunday. Now, if God says have church on Sunday, we'll have church on Sunday. If God says have it on Monday, we'll have it on Monday. If He said Tuesday, it'll be Tuesday. But I'm not keeping up with the Joneses or the Steeples or anybody else. But here's what it was. The pressure was on me, and so I started thinking about, well, I'd like to have church on Sunday. I'd like to find some place I could go where I wouldn't be condemned and beat up and give a list of this and that and then feel worse when I left than when I came. I'd like to have some of that. I've been looking. And so I come up with a dilemma. Yeah, everybody want to have church on Sunday. Do we need to have church? I ain't just going to have it because everybody wants to. Now, God's going to be used, so what we do? Here's what He says. I'm not one weirdo. Say, He come down and sit down beside me and told me and I heard Him in my ear. No, we've grown to know each other. His heart's my heart now, and I hear Him. I mean, we're close now. So His desires are my desires. His wants are my wants, and He's changing me. And so now I like the things that He likes, and I want the things that He wants, and I love the things that He loves, and He's just changing me. Because I started letting God be God and letting His goodness change me, and He's just changing me. I tried changing myself and couldn't. He's changing me. And so now this is what He tells me. Son, whatever you want to do is going to be a success. If you want to have church on Sunday, we'll have church on Sunday. We can build a big deal. You can't house them all now, but whatever you want to do, it'll be blessed and it'll be good and lives will be changed. You want to do that, good. He said if you stick with what you do on Thursday nights, and people from all over the churches can come and get doses of it. They're going to be carrying it back. And you can only affect so many people. Build you a little kingdom in Bully's Mill. You'll affect some lives. You'll affect a few people. But you only reach so many. You keep on like you're going. And you get them people coming through here and passing by, and you see them one time or another. They're coming and getting something. They're coming and getting some seed, and they're carrying it back to their churches. You can affect a few on Sunday if you want to, but if you keep on like you're going to affect every church and so on. I'm telling you, the majority is changing. The majority might have been religious. The majority might say, well, we win some, we lose some. The majority might say, well, it's God's will, you got to die something. The majority's changing. The majority is going to be, hey, we believe in God. We're going to start saying what God said about stuff. We're going to start seeing more people healed. We're going to start seeing more people's lives changed. We're going to start seeing the power of God turn loose. And because He can only operate to the level of our belief. He can only operate in a vacuum that we've created by hope and expectation. I'll tell you this, and I don't mean it as condemnation, but we got to know so we can change. Whatever your expectation is what you're living in. Guaranteed. You have what you're expecting. There's power in you. And so I know how we are. We're control freaks, and we don't like change, and we don't like. And so when somebody, I mean, they've been through here, and they get mad at me, and I don't care. I know some of you keep coming, you're sitting there squirming right now, but I don't care. Because the truth will set you free. And the truth might make you uncomfortable, the truth might make you mad at the messenger, but I don't care. I'm going to raise our level of expectation. He's going to raise our level of expectation. It might make us squirm for a while, but we're going to get free. Amen. Is that all right with anybody? I know it might be uncomfortable, but we're going to get free. You just have learned that we've grown accustomed to our non-freedom and think that's comfortable, and it's not. It's miserable. And it's defeated. And I've had enough of it. Does anybody else have enough of it? I want to be free. I want to walk in the power of God. I want to see people make it. I want to see people's lives change. I want to see, hey, He intends on us to be healed. He intends on us to be blessed. He intends on us to win. And if we're not, then something's blocking it. And it's time we get our heads out of the sand like ostriches and pretend like everything's okay and say, oh, nothing's blocking it, it's just the way it is. No, it ain't. Something's blocking it. And I'm going to preach the power of the gospel until the thing's blocking gets out of our way. And we're going to receive it, and we're going to receive it. Woo! I like that. Majority's going. Y'all better go sing. I'm going to quit on this. You know when God, I'll give you two. Here, I'm just going to show you something. Whenever the Hebrew children was delivered out of Egypt, remember they were slaves for 400 years. Slaves to Egypt. This is God's chosen people. They were slaves. God delivers them out and He intends on to carry them on over into the promised land. Full of milk and honey, grapes aside. They had a cluster of grapes that took men, not like Kroger's grapes where you put it in a shopping bag. They had them on a stick carrying them between two men. Now that's grapes. He's a great big old God, not a lacking God. And so here it's His intention to take them on, not only to bring them out, but to take them in. Blessing and favor and protection and life and goodness. And so here it was like, I forget now, don't hold me to this for sure, but it seemed like it was an 11 or 12 day walk from Egypt to the promised land. If you'd have walked it took you 11 or 12 days. They wandered around in between for 40 years. And God said, get your 12 spies and go over and spy out the land. Then come back and give a report. I call them preachers. There's 12 of them. 10 of them come back preaching the message of, oh, it's bad. Oh, we can't handle it. Oh, it's not God's will. Oh, they'll kill us. We're not able. Oh, it's gloom and doom. But 2 of them said, hey, is God God? Did He not say that it's ours? Did He not say that He's with us? And so there was maybe 2 or 3 million people. 2 or 3 million. But whatever the expectation of the majority was, that's what they got. They died in the wilderness. Now, was it God's will for them to die in the wilderness? You mean everything that happens may not necessarily be God's will? What about the time whenever Jesus and the disciples, there it was, the 12 now, the main man, 12. Here comes a guy and he's carrying his son, and his son's got a devil, and he's throwing him in the fire and slavering. Remember that story? And here he comes to Jesus, and he said, hey Jesus, the disciples done been out, casting out devils and healing the sick and all that going on. And so this guy says to Jesus, hey, I brought my son to your disciples, and they couldn't cast him out. Jesus said, get out. Thing is gone. That thing. Now let's think about that. Did the boy get healed when the disciples prayed for him? He didn't. You mean that means I can pray for somebody and they don't get healed? then I don't have to make the excuse and say, well, it was God's will that He didn't do it. Does that mean that we might be praying for somebody and they don't get healed, but it still was God's will that they did get healed? Was it God's will or not? Because Jesus come along to perform God's will, right? Jesus healed him that fast. That means just because I may not be there all the way yet, just because we're not all the way there yet, just because everybody we pray for don't walk off healed, does not mean that it's not God's will. It means Jesus said, they come to him later and said, Master, why couldn't we? Here's what he said in my paraphrase. Still got messed up thinking. Your mind's not renewed yet. You're not all the way there yet. We've heard him. We've heard it like, well, he condemned them and all that. He's not condemning them. He's saying, hey, how long am I going to be with you? Keep watching. I'm going to show you how to do this thing. I ain't quitting. We ain't quitting. We know what the will of God is and we're going after it. Romans 12 said, present your body a living sacrifice, which is your reasonable service. Now, we've heard that preached as law and say, yeah, you need to sacrifice. No, you need to count your body as dead because that's where you've been getting your information. But don't be, he said, present your body a living sacrifice. Yeah, it's still alive, it's still walking around, but you might as well count it as dead because you've been gathering information with your five senses. Your five senses will lie to you. The devil has access to your five senses. We've been trained up to gather information from our five senses. We live in this world, that's the way we're taught. I'm not saying that's all wrong. He said, don't be conformed to the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind so that you may prove what is the good and perfect, acceptable will of God. Amen. What does that mean in plain English? Look, you've been trained to gather your information by listening to your body. You're going to have to renew your mind, quit listening to your body, and start listening to the truth. When this truth becomes truth, you will prove what the good and acceptable will of God is. Does anybody want some? And you just sit here and soak in it, and you'll have some. Is that easy enough?
Jesus shine.